Welcome to the WOW Seat Workspace. I am the WOW Empress, AliNICOLE WOW, She Does It All, and the founder of the WOW Seat Media. You can learn more about our other featured signature segment production platforms at www.thewowseat.tumblr.com, and we welcome you to follow us on Facebook as well. On this platform, I feature some of the greatest thought leaderpreneurs that I have the privilege of advising, mentoring, and consulting as it relates to their worthwhile, outstanding works that I call your WOW works or your WOW missions. And it's so awesome when you have powerful leaders that really realize the importance of having another trusted expert to guide them and assist them while taking their WOW missions to the next level so that they can make a greater impact in the marketplace and their primary industries. So in this workspace session, I am working with Chris Roberts, who is a social and environmental impact engineer, and he's also a business deconstructor and the creator of the platform Deconstructucation. And so I'm really excited because I love and enjoy his energy and working with him, and he's just phenomenal. So Chris, thank you so much for being here in the WOW Seat Workspace.
Thank you for inviting me along. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it's great because we've been doing quite a bit together. And before we get started, I would like for you to share why, as a leaderpreneur, you believe it's important to have support from an advisor, a coach, or a mentor.
I've spent quite some time in the business space. I remember going back many years, 1989, I was brought into an office environment, and I was actually a practical engineer. I was out on the tools and I was doing engineering with pipework and ventilation systems, and I was brought into an office to help out doing estimation, tendering, doing contract work, that kind of thing. And it was totally new. It was such a new area, a new space to me. Mm-hmm. And I remember back then floundering, I would call it, because those were the days when you really were chucked in at the deep end, and it was either sink or swim. And fortunately, I managed to swim. But
nice.
That is an environment where you kind of get left alone to do your own thing, and you hope that you don't make any expensive mistakes.
Yeah.
And this followed me on until I went into self-employment. And back then, the pressure wasn't so great working for someone else, because although you had a conscience that you didn't want to make a mistake, when you work for yourself, the pressure is all on you.
Yeah.
And I believe that as business owners or business leaders, we find it as a very lonely space. And it was the same when I first started back in the office. It was a lonely space. Yeah. Because there was only a couple of people who kind of knew the setup. But when you go on your own, when you're a business person, all those decisions are all yours. And the whole basis of how the company goes forward is reliant on those decisions that you make.
Yeah.
And I think I've probably had enough experience. Well, I don't think I know that I've had enough experience in my industries and in business to know some of the pitfalls, and to obviously know where there is a new world out there now that we have to formulate new processes. I know we have this saying where, this is the way we've always done it. Well, we've got into a stage now where this can't be the way that we've always done it. We have to move forward. We have to deconstruct the normal in some places, and we have to build it back again. And we have to build it back again in as much as where we have problems, we can't firefight them. We can't spin plates anymore. We've actually got to deconstruct the problems, and we've got to find solutions for them at source rather than leaving everything to the last minute. And I think that is probably how this deconstructuration idea came about, was knowing that, you know, for the last 12 months, I've been working in an office on my own again, trying to do various aspects of work, not having the tools to hand where I used to have them. What I had to do was I had to reconfigure things, re-strategize, look at things from a totally different angle. So it was a bit like using those drones that you put up in the air. So you have a drone go up in the air, and then you look down and you see your global business beneath you, and you think to yourself, yeah, this has got to change, that's got to change. And that is pretty much how everything has come about to where we are today.
Yes, right. Yeah, no, I agree. And I thank you for setting that up. And so would you say, with all that you have just explained, that it's important to have a mentor or a coach to be able to assist with the development, because you do business development, and we're going to talk about that, you know, today, you know, within our session and some of the things we're going to work on. But you see the importance of having a guide or a mentor, because sometimes others aren't able to see what you are able to see as a coach. And just like with the work that we do together, there are different aspects that before coming to work with me, you've gotten guidance on how to, you know, start setting this up. It's always a question that I ask all the clients when we do a workspace session like this on air, to, you know, emphasize the importance of why leaders also have leaders to help them, you know, move to the next level. So would you say, yeah, it's important, because even based on your journey, even though you've done a lot of things on your own, but now you're at a point where that's, you know, not the case, and you also help others where they have to have you for assistance as well.
Definitely so. We all need mentors. I've had people who have guided me. There are some who, they're very much horses for courses. There are people who can guide you in different ways. There are people who can guide you in education. There are people who can guide you in a spiritual way, because we need it.
Absolutely.
We need it in a spiritual way when we're doing it in business, and we just need it in a personal space as well. And you know, there are many times where I've had a problem in business, and I've thought, right, I need to figure this out, and you do it in such a way that you think is good, because I always go by your first instinct is always the right instinct. And sometimes you need to sit down with someone and say, listen, I'm thinking about doing this. What would be your take on it as an outsider looking in? And I think we definitely need those type of people, because sometimes your gut instinct is never always right neither, and you could be quite surprised when someone says to you, do you know what, although you think that may be a good idea, I don't think it is, purely because, and then you appreciate that feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think even some of the the most powerful business people in the world, I think they've still got their mentors. You know, they may say they don't, but you know, if Fred or Mary is on the other end of the phone, then you know, Fred or Mary could be just a friend down the road. But you know, if phoning up and asking for advice, that is the mentor.
Absolutely. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And thank you so much for sharing that. So before we get started with our session, I just want to preface this experience with sharing about the developmental work that Chris and I have been doing together over the last several months and bringing his unique concept to fruition as we start to put into place some simple structures that allows us to continuously build. We've worked on a variety of business aspects, but the primary one that we have been mostly focused on now is his business development for the platform Deconstructication. And so far, he has a Tumblr platform, which is a micro blog platform, and it also has a landing page presence. He's actually had 2 podcast features on this particular topic, and he has a LinkedIn article and also a new Facebook page. And so he shared a little bit about how the Deconstructication format, you know, came about. But I'm excited because we can start doing some brainstorming in this first half of the process, and then Chris, in the second half, that's when we'll get into some master planning. So are we ready to jump into that really quick? Or did you want to say anything else around Deconstructication right before we get started?
No, let's go for it.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I have a few considerations in terms of the progression, and I know the things that you have coming up, because there's already been a master plan development based on some of the work that we've done together so far, and other processes that you're involved in, you know, with me as well. But a few things came to mind, and again, we just, you know, brainstorm and just get your thoughts, you know, around this. But you know, you have an upcoming virtual media tour that's going to be highlighting and showcasing the Deconstructication platform, and being able to bring some high level attention and attraction factor to that. So one of the considerations is considering doing a Media Blitz, and I'll give a little bit about what that is, but being able to do something like a 2-week to 30-day initiative. So a Media Blitz is really where it is that you are getting out and getting featured and being able to get some media exposure. And normally when people are doing this, they are trying to do a pre-launch for something, or they just want to get media exposure. And of course, within the media tour formats, and of course the format I teach, media blitzes are kind of integrated, you know, within and incorporated within those. But in kind of a pre-tour format, you could do a media blitz. And another great thing that happens with the Media Blitz is it really gets entrepreneurs primarily into this intentional preparation mode, where they start making over sometimes their media presence, and then they do prepare to level up for a more expansive launch of a particular platform or a particular aspect, whatever the high level initiative is that they want to bring attention to. And sometimes it's just their brand. But the media tours, of course, can encompass, you know, all of that. But this would be like a pre-tour before the actual tour that really allows you to be your own promotional ambassador, to start getting others interested in the new emergence. So this will jumpstart your exposure and create opportunities for you to gain some press, you know, for yourself. And even if it is that you're creating, you know, the press for yourself. And since I'm also training you in the LinkedInpreneurship and the LinkedIn article publishingpreneurship, a few considerations also that came to mind could be about creating a media press kit article, and which you created a speaking press kit article. And then you've seen examples of mine as well. But in this case, we're specifically talking about the deconstructication. So you could consider creating, like I said, a media press kit article. This can have your signature master talk outline, which is something we can work on. It can include your podcast features where you have talked about this particular topic. You also have a LinkedIn article that I mentioned that is on deconstructication. So that could be included, within that article press kit as well. And then also consider doing maybe a 3 to 5 part blog series specifically for your Tumblr platform. So you can have, that on there. And you can also share, your sites in the article. I mean, you can put the blog post or the blog itself within the article. Another thing within there you can include is share your Facebook page, because you're going to want people to follow you on that. And consider making the Facebook page about a media aspect, because I see some type of podcast, even if it's a podcast series, I see some type of podcast coming up, with this as well. But deconstructication, media, and consulting, or that could be a LinkedIn page, because you definitely need a LinkedIn business page for this initiative too. But I do want to make some distinctions, for the pages. Also, we could start making over your LinkedIn profile to reflect this as one of your primary offerings. That will be included in the ongoing development of your multifaceted preneurship. Listening audience, Chris is one. He's a man of many hats, and if you know anything about my branding, typically the individuals that I advise are multiplicity entrepreneurs, cross-functional entrepreneurs, cross-brand entrepreneurs. They're multifaceted, multi-level entrepreneurs. So, Chris, I mentioned that you could consider starting a podcast, and I do have a platform that I would recommend for that particular one. I know you have one on Anchor, and certainly you could get, opt to get another Anchor account, but Podomatic is one that I would recommend. It's really easy to, to upload pre-recorded segments. Something else to consider is creating a new email for maybe chrisroberts@gmail.com, or it could be, or it could be deconstructication@gmail.com, because since this is going to be something that you want to expand, you want to start directing the energy to be intentional with that. Like you have your North Wales Dragons, and people are reaching out to you for that. But when, this whole expansiveness of the business dynamics, you want to be able to have some type of email that's going to be centrally focused around that. But if you don't want to do the deconstructication, and then you could just do Chris Roberts, and then that can kind of encompass just your branding, in general. And during the actual media tour that's going to be coming up, you might want to consider actually launching a new website, a literal website, if you do want this to be something more expansive. And that new website can be something like the grand finale, and then you just leverage the blog as a mini training hub, or a welcome center blog landing page, kind of, what I, another format, that I teach. So there's just a lot of different things. You can consider writing a mini book, for this area, for more, credibility and product development. And also I can get you booked on a few business, podcasts as well. So, we're about to come up actually on the break, but I initially just wanted to be able to put some things out there for you so that you actually can start thinking about, you know, if any of this resonates with you. And then in the second part of the session, then we can actually get into master planning. So is anything jumping out to you at this point? You have any questions?
I don't think so. I think what you've mentioned there, I knew there was some kind of preparation work that I needed to do. And I probably had, you know, just the idea of writing a few blogs here and away we go. But, you know, listening to the advice that you've just given me there, it sounds like there's, you know, there's a much more intensive way that we can go forward, or I can go forward, and before the media tour begins. And yeah, you're right. There's, you know, there's so many different aspects there that we can use as tools, purely as you know, just to get started before the media tour begins.
Yes, yes. And the good thing is that you can, like I said, be intentional, you know, about this in terms of saying, because, you know, there's a few months until the media tour. Is that correct?
Yeah.
According to one of your master plans, that, yeah, there's a few months. So within that, that will give you an opportunity, and we can start, you know, talking about a timeline and when to even, you know, get started on, you know, this particular aspect of just starting to build. And all of this can be in the very simplest formats, because you know me, I like to keep it simple. Sometimes it can sound like, ooh, a lot, but the way that is executed is really, you know, very simple. Even things that can be actually accomplished within a weekend, just to, you know, to get the setup. But that's something in the next segment we can start, you know, discussing and starting some of the master planning, you know, aspects around this. So just be thinking about, you know, some of what obviously that I've laid out there. And we can certainly go over, you know, a few other things. But I'm really excited, you know, about this, because this just primes the pump and creates a new strand of momentum for you to engage into. And even though you had the media tour, it is, like I said, a few months away, but you can see how you actually need to start building an audience and building some attention, so that when the media tour actually is here, you can have some, you know, traffic to go to certain places. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense.
Okay, awesome. Well, I am certainly looking forward to getting into this master planning session after the break. And so, listeners, we will be back in just a few moments, and get ready, because we're going to do some deconstructing the reconstructication here. And I'm really excited. So, Chris, I look forward to being back with you in just a few moments.
See you in a bit. Bye.